section of Luhya leaders from Western Kenya holding a retreat in Naivasha town this afternoon. The leaders, under the chairmanship of Eugene Wamalwa, are discussing a wide range of issues. Let's now link up with our reporter Patrick Amimo, who is attending the retreat. Patrick, good to see you this afternoon. What is the agenda of this retreat?
Thank you, Michelle. This particular meeting is been convened by Jubilee MPs from Western Kenya. Remember, this particular region is perceived to be having a strong support from the opposition NASA. But in the August 8th election, we saw 8 members of parliament being elected on a Jubilee ticket, 5 from Kakamega County. And these MPs are meeting here in Naivasha just to strategize on the way forward on how they can mobilize the Jubilee party support in Western Kenya. And this meeting just coming almost a week after, nearly a week after Kenyans went for the repeat presidential election. It shows that we saw in Western Kenya, this particular region did post a very low voter turnout of less than 20% of the voters who participated in the second repeat poll for the presidential election. Unlike in the August 8th election, when we saw many people from the region coming out to participate in the election. And I think this is due to the fact that majority might have heeded the call by the opposition leader Raila Odinga to boycott this election and not participate in it. So these we expect leaders here to also brainstorm on that particular the way they performed in the repeat election, why it was not possible for them to convince voters in Western Kenya or those counties from Western region to vote in this election. This particular meeting is also coming at a time when after the election we've seen the country is divided. And given that the country is divided, we mean that when the country is divided, it shows that this particular meeting is that they also have to do a post-mortem on what is happening now. Because we've seen that the opposition NASA is calling for reforms, and they're also pushing for a repeat election. We've seen that these particular leaders will have to look into this particular aspect and see how they can bring in this subject of reforms into their agenda, whether they are agreeable to the reforms. And we've seen already Jubilee is also, there are reports that Jubilee is also warming up to reforms some in the constitution to see how the entire country can be brought on board to ensure that no part of the country feels isolated, at least that issue of inclusivity. Also, this particular meeting is coming at a time when we've seen that there are calls for secession. Already yesterday we saw in Mombasa, the Mombasa County governor, the governor for Mombasa County and Kilifi, they called for secession. And this particular aspect, I think also the Jubilee leaders here will be tackling that issue, whether there was also that subject of secession could be a topic that could be entertained in Western Kenya or that region that has a strong support from NASA, because NASA might be also pushing that particular agenda to their supporters to see whether it's a viable option. But then talks constitutional reforms are on the table, and I think leaders convened here will be able to talk on that particular matter and also give their position on what they feel as Jubilee elected members of parliament, what their position is on that particular matter. Remember, we had in Western, there was the former Bungoma governor, who is Ken Lusaka, is now was elected the Speaker of the Senate. We also have the CS for Water, Eugene Wamalwa, who is still acting in that docket, given that we don't have a substantive head of state in place, and is still in that capacity as the CS for Water and Irrigation, and unless maybe there will be changes in the cabinet. But then there is also we have there's Benjamin Washiali, the Mumias East MP, who was elected, nominated as a chief whip in the National Assembly. So these are some of the positions that some leaders in Western Kenya who were elected on a Jubilee ticket did manage to get in government, and maybe they might be using these particular positions to try to convince Western Kenya that okay, we are here, we are our leaders, and we are in government. Probably let's have support from the Luhya, which is a rich voting bloc, to government. But it's something that these particulars, the numbers are being also NASA, the opposition NASA, is also keen to ensure that it maintains its support base, and it's not it doesn't maybe the Jubilee does not make inroads into it. So that is what is happening here in Naivasha, Michelle.
Many thanks, Patrick Amimo, there attending that retreat by a section of Luhya leaders in Naivasha. More details from that meeting in our subsequent bulletins. But that